Dogs have been domesticated for thousands of years. We've bred them to be our companions, guards, shepherds and hunting companions. And for many breeds, these job-specific traits still influence their behaviours, even when kept as pets in our homes. Over recent history, our domestic routines have changed significantly. Increasing urbanisation, reduced access to rural areas, busier working lifestyles and reduced time in the home all have the potential to impact the welfare of our dogs and cats who may not be well adapted to cope with these lifestyle challenges that are often very different to the types of lifestyles that our pets are bred to cope with. Recent research by the Royal Veterinary College in London highlighted expert consensus on the most common welfare problems that may impact our pet dogs. The welfare problems highlighted included inappropriate husbandry, lack of owner knowledge, undesirable behaviours, inherited disease, inappropriate socialisation, and conformation or body position related disorders. As we can see, many of these problems relate to how we choose to keep and breed our pet dogs, and whilst they may be uncomfortable for many of us to acknowledge, it also means that we have the power to positively influence our dogs' welfare and make positive changes to improve their experiences and behaviour. Canine behaviour and welfare issues such as separation anxiety, fear or aggression are usually influenced by multiple factors. A dog's breeding and early life experiences may influence its behaviour for the rest of that dog's life. Additionally, appropriate exercise, positive relationships with humans and consistent, appropriate training can all help to mitigate the development of any behaviour problems in our dogs. What is essential is that we recognise that behaviour is always communication. And if our dogs are displaying a behaviour that we don't want, we need to understand what is motivating that behaviour in order to address it properly. One of the biggest reasons given by owners who relinquish their dogs to shelters is boisterousness. So it's essential to consider before you get a dog whether you're able to put in the time to appropriately exercise and train your dog. Some common breeds of dogs actually need several hours of exercise each day to maintain their health and prevent behavioural frustration. Research has shown that access to off-lead exercise can help to reduce behaviour problems from developing. Similarly, training is an essential part of ensuring our dogs behave well in society. But it is important to remember that our dogs are learning all of the time, not just when they're being trained. Dogs need affection and positive human interaction. But how often do we actually reward our dogs with affection when they're lying quietly and calmly? And how often do we react and respond when they're being naughty? When we consider this, it's easy to see why our dogs may use unwanted behaviours to try and gain our attention. Probably one of the biggest challenges in terms of unwanted dog behaviour is aggression. It's important to understand dog behaviour as this is key to preventing dogs from feeling so uncomfortable that they may snap, especially when children are interacting with dogs. It's important to remember that aggression is a normal communication strategy, and many dogs may use aggressive behaviour as a tool to communicate their discomfort or fear over a particular trigger. It's important that we pay attention to this. For example, punishing a dog for growling simply tells the dog that we don't want to listen when they communicate their discomfort, leaving the dog with no choice but to escalate their behaviours to communicate their concerns. Instead, we should try and understand what our dogs are worried about and mitigate the triggers that may lead to aggressive behaviour. It is especially important that we actively supervise child-dog interactions and ensure that close attention is paid to dogs' body language to ensure that they aren't learning that interactions with children are stressful or frightening. It's also very important that children are appropriately taught how to behave around dogs. The Dog on Safe website has some useful resources about appropriate supervision of children and dog interactions. Other behaviour and welfare problems that our dogs commonly experience include anxiety related to being separated from their owners, commonly called separation anxiety. Also, anxiety related to noises such as fireworks. Appropriate puppy socialisation and training are useful tools in preventing the development of these types of problems, and as dog owners, it is important that we take responsibility for preparing our dogs appropriately for these challenges and understand the panic and anxiety that drives these behaviours rather than considering them to be naughty or focusing only on how these behaviours impact us. For example, by resenting the destruction of our property when our dogs panic. Unfortunately, just like humans, our pet dogs and cats can experience true anxiety and phobias, and in some cases may need expert behavioural or medical support in order to overcome their anxieties. As pet owners, it's important that we recognise these behaviours as symptoms of deeper problems and proactively take steps to prevent and treat these problems when they do occur.